Trudy sitting in this week. It's time for us to talk some tech, and luckily we have an expert with us. Mitch Joel, tech advisor, investor, and author of Control Alt Delete. Good morning, Mitch.
Rudy, it's a pleasure. It's been a while since we both shared the airways over at Show.
You're right. You're right. Oh, yeah, it has been a while. Let's not
Yeah,
say how many years. Uh,
no, no.
we're the reason we're talking today is because Elon Musk, who I believe has an opinion on everything and has trouble kind of keeping those opinions to himself, is wading into some fraught territory because, unlike a lot of other tech leaders, big tech leaders, he has made a political endorsement in the US in the presidential race. And other tech leaders have kind of shied away from this or been very kind of low key or milk toast about political leanings. Some simply they don't go there at all because I guess they figure they have to deal with whoever is in power. So they don't want to plant a landmine that will later blow up under their feet. Mitch, what can you tell us about what Elon Musk has been saying?
One is I think it's important for all of us to recognize that I believe how you explain that is maybe a story of the past, that more and more leaders are being very overt in this simply because it's the nature of the culture that we're in. And again, culture is always upstream from politics and the strategies we see, and also because users and employees are asking for it more and more. So I do think we're seeing a shifting winds there. In the uniqueness of this situation, it's also the fact that Elon is at the helm and very deeply engaged on X, the platform formerly known as Twitter. And it's at a critical juncture where its credibility as a news platform is being challenged by, the rapid spread of misinformation, conspiracy theories, the potential for bias now introduced by things like political endorsements. I think it's a situation that could have really profound implications, not just for the integrity of public discourse and the democratic process, but even in this idea of how should leaders, in particular ones of businesses, show up. We have to counterbalance that with the reality that, look, any media platform or platform that has a lot of media on it typically does make some type of endorsement. Look at more traditional media like the New York Times or the Washington Post. So we're balancing all of this in an evolving world where the platform isn't just about whether or not the technologist or CEO is endorsing a political candidate, but also is the platform by which it is not just breaking news, but it's also literally breaking news with conspiracy theories.
Well, I think there's also the point that it's the platforms are not just commenting on politics; they can make and break politics to a large. I think the reach of social media, for example, in influencing politics, and this is why we're so concerned about misinformation, for example, it's much greater than, for example, an editorial in the Gazette, an editorial in the National Post, an editorial in the Globe and Mail, though those newspapers ever were. I think these tech giants have giant influence. So that's the source of my worry in seeing Elon Musk getting into this territory.
Yeah, I think the scale becomes an interesting question in a world where we had dominating media that were either local or national that were sided left or right. We can't deny that. In a world where we have the global information that's not just being proliferated top down, we're creating content and distributing it, but it's also being created by the actual users. And so typically we say we went from a one-way communication to a two-way communication, but I really think we've entered into this dimension of what I would call omni communication, that it's coming from all sides, including places like AI agents and beyond. And so you're right that when you are in a platform that has hundreds of millions of users, you're making an endorsement, and perhaps even the leaning of the platform proliferates and makes it more encouraging for those from one side to take that side or create misinformation for the other side is very, very realistic. And again, it leads us to a place where we have public trust and platform integrity issues. There's even, I would argue, legal and regulatory scrutiny that has to be looked at here. And there's just a general public reaction and user behavior. Are people okay with this? I mean, if you think about this assassination attempt that happened for Donald Trump over the weekend. The amount of real-time news that was coming out of a platform like X, coupled with the amount of misinformation and disinformation, is really staggering. And so how does one even reconcile that beyond the public leanings of one of its CEOs?
Why do you think Elon Musk made his decision to endorse a Donald Trump candidacy, knowing that to do so might invite more government regulation? Because heaven knows that's exactly the opposite of what he would like to see.
You have to be able to bifurcate the character of Elon Musk. On one side, he is somebody who has, without question, changed the landscape of business, from solar power and electric cars to satellite-based internet. We could go list his successes on and on. The other side is he's a bit of a troll. And he really likes this. He really likes stirring the pot. He likes meme culture. He likes the 4chan culture. He likes that internet culture of keyboard warriors, somebody hidden behind the keyboard to be able to create what he thinks might even be funny or a joke. And it's actually quite profound. And I do think if you look at the timing of his post versus when the assassination attempt happened and how he's talking about it, it's a strike to keep X and Twitter in the public spotlight. We also can't forget that we talk a lot about X or Twitter and Elon Musk, but it's not a platform that's competing at scale even to some of the other social media platforms in comparison to a YouTube or to a TikTok or any others. And how much of this is public relations and just getting the word out?
I think, Mitch, I'm going to keep that line in mind. Elon Musk, fundamentally, he's a bit of a troll. So, because it puts into context, I think, a lot of what we end up talking, a lot of the things he does that we end up talking about. Moving ahead, do you think now that he has made this unabashed endorsement of Trump, other figures in the tech world will follow?
Like I said, culturally, it tends to be the trend we're seeing. I do believe that there are additional layers of complexity, and it should raise a lot of questions about not just the platform's neutrality and integrity, but how other leaders might want to look at this. We need to step back and just look beyond just if leaders are going to choose a Donald Trump, a Joe Biden, or a potential replacement for Biden we're going to see. We need to look at it more as users, as a public. And we have to think really strategically about things like, how do we improve content moderation so that we can get to some point of truth if these platforms are capitalizing on this much distribution and audience? It's huge. We need more regulatory oversight. So we're going to need all of this in order for there to be a world where it shouldn't really matter if a leader makes that choice, but it's more about the information and how we're seeing it as users. There's going to need to be technological innovation. And the biggest part is, I've been talking about media literacy and media education for a long time. We have to ensure that these social media platforms are reliable sources of information in the digital age, coupled with the reality that, yes, more and more leaders are going to be standing up, maybe even if they don't want to, but because their customers are demanding it, and more importantly, their employees are.
Mitch Joel, always a blast to speak to you. Thanks very much for your time.
Thanks for your time, Trudy.
Mitch Joel is a tech advisor, investor, and author of Control Alt Delete.